Hi everyone, I'm Ania Sade and welcome to Ania Sade Reacts. We're now at Loki episode 3, Lamentis. And yes, it was very interesting to actually now understand the female Loki. It's a such thing as a female Loki. Can you what? Yes, it was just mind-blowing. The fact of now we have this female Loki and we got questions, right? So we did get a lot answered with this episode, I will say, because even starting off in the beginning, we got to see actually the female Loki with that TVA agent lady C20 that she actually captured from the last episode. She actually was getting into her head and trying to understand what exactly are the timekeepers and who is actually guarding the timekeepers. So that's how she actually got through to C20s, because she created this tropical scene and she was able to play off of that to try to see if she could get through. Because she even convinced C20 that they were best friends and they been best friends for so long. But C20 would kind of be like, what? So we find out a little bit later why she has some moments, C20, of being confused and not being able to stay under the mind control. So that's, of course, was the beginning. We see how everything went for the female Loki getting in C20's head. And then we eventually fast forward, as we recall, rewind actually a little bit. We remember female Loki going through the clear door when she was like, bye to Loki. It's never was about you. And went through the clear door. So where she ended up leading through that clear door was the TVA. But yeah, so she ended up leading directly there because, again, she's trying to find the timekeepers and who's guarding them. She needs to conquer her mission. So she goes through, and of course Loki goes through as well. She doesn't know Loki's following her until she actually makes it through, trying to get through the Minutemen, other TVA agents. She wasn't able to control one of their minds, so she actually had to fight her way through. Blah blah blah. She tries to get as close as possible to this room and ends up being stopped by Loki because he's trying to figure out where you come from. And the Lokis that I was shown that you possibly could be, no one ever mentioned it could be a female one. Mobius never showed us this or never said anything. Blah blah blah. So now we're seeing the judge, because everybody's, on a mission to try to figure out how can we stop this now. Nexus that has now changed the timeline, the sacred timeline. We got to fix this. So everybody's looking for Loki in this other Loki. They don't even realize it's a female Loki, but the judge does see like a Sid. The female with Loki, and female Loki, of course, threatens to kill Loki. She's like, I don't care. And then all of a sudden, Loki touches the object that all the Minutemen or TVA agents have to actually go into a different timeline. So he clicks it because, of course, female Loki had it. He takes it from her and then transports both of them out of there before the judge or anybody could capture them. But then all of a sudden, we're in this new scene. And female Loki realizes where they are. And she's like, you idiot, you done took us to Lamentis. Basically, that's a time period where one of the worst apocalypse happened. Let's see, the Lamentis 2077. And why it was a really horrible apocalypse, because this was a time when the moon was about to be destroyed by a planet. So they actually arrived on the moon. It was the whole world on this moon, but the planet was about to hit the moon and just take over, right? Crash, blah, blah, blah. Everybody gonna be dead. At this time, he still had the timeline object that would actually transport them out of there. But he had it, of course, for leverage, because he knew that if he gave it to her, she would do something, basically leave him there. So he kept it. They're going around the moon trying to find ways to possibly recharge it, because she does know how to recharge it. Again, she's been collecting them and from some time now. He doesn't know how to do any of the things, but again, he's keeping it for leverage. They get to like this house of this woman that decides to not evacuate with others that are on the moon, and about to face this big apocalypse. Granted, they don't know it's major. They just know it's something happening, but they know to evacuate. So she's letting Loki and female Loki know that, yeah, there's this train that's going to actually take people out of here, whatever. And because Loki and female Loki did manage to manipulate their way into or onto the train or what have you, by Loki turning into a guard and female Loki able to mind control one of the guards to let them through. They get on the train. Loki and female Loki, at this time, we actually also find out she'd rather be called Sophie. She doesn't like being called female Loki. She likes to be called Sophie. And we get to understand Sophie a little more. Loki gets to express certain things that he's experienced, because I guess with all the Lokis, they had similar lives. So Loki wanted to understand, did you have a mom? Did you have the same faith in ways in your life or whatever? But I guess she didn't get to be as close to her mother. She was adopted just like he was, so that was something they shared. But other than that, and like certain powers maybe, but mind control is not one of Loki's powers, or Loki specifically. And yeah, Mobius only said that any Loki you meet are going to have one of the three, and that's shape-shifting, illusion, projecting, duplication, casting. So the fact that Sophie had the ability to do mind control, Loki had to know. So Sophie ended up explaining that it was something that she actually learned along the way, because typically Lokis don't have that kind of power. But it's basically what is being seen done, of course, comes off as mind control, but she calls it like an enchantment. And she was just basically explaining to him that Loki, that when she's doing this enchantment, she has to be touching the individual to actually control their mind. However, sometimes people's minds are a little stronger than others. So there are certain people's minds that she can easily be able to get in and take control. But as you remember before, when the C20 TVA agent was kind of coming out of the trance, that's because her mind was a little stronger. And then the TVA agent or Minuteman that was at the TVA area where Sophie went through the clear door and and was trying to touch him, well, his mind was stronger, probably for the very reason, right? Especially because of they now know that that Pacific Loki can control your mind. And how she's able to stay in there and gain their trust is by utilizing certain memories from her past. So that tropical place, she was able to use that because that was a memory C20 already had. And that was the kicker. So as the scene is going back a little bit, we actually find out, like I was stating, okay, TVA agents, as we learned earlier, TVA agents, from Mobius' words and perspective, they were born to protect the sacred timeline by the timekeepers. So they never see anything outside of that, because that's why he's always dreamed of going skiing or blah, 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 but he's never experienced it, right? We'll find out that the reason why that she was able, Sophie, to tap into this memory, and the TVA agent was able to even have that memory, is because she was a variant just like Loki and Sophie. Basically, everybody part of the TVA, those are individuals that messed with the sacred timeline. There's no such thing of anyone that actually was created specifically for the timekeepers. They actually were regular people from Earth. So that's why that was a Earth memory. Now, it happened, she said, maybe centuries ago. So it's no such thing. So now we realize something ain't all right with the timekeeper's story or TVAs in general. So we say, yeah, she was just a regular person that loved margaritas. So I used that to my advantage to get control of her mind. I tapped into a memory and was able to connect with her enough to at least get the information she was able to give her. But Loki definitely looked very confused. Like, I don't think anyone knows that they're pretty much against their will, like that they weren't created for this. I think they all literally believe that they are TVA agents and were born here and created for this very reason. So the train, aka Arc, is about to leave. You know, all the people that didn't get to make it are just upset and an uproar, and then all of a sudden it goes up and up. Like I said, it was a train, but it was almost like a spaceship. It was created to basically make it off that moon. So it was your typical train where it will be staying on the ground. Okay, so they're like trying, Loki and Sophie is trying their best to get to the train, and all of a sudden it just up in pieces, the train. So they're looking like, so Sophie's and walks away, and Loki is just devastated because how the heck are they gonna get off of that moon? I have a different perspective on Sophie. She's awesome. Like, she's totally different than what, well, heck, I didn't know it was gonna be a female under that hood, but it was just really, really cool to hear, you know, this experience of Loki from a different perspective. And now to learn her origin, to understand who she is. So I feel like episode 4 is really going to show us more about Sophie. Look like we're going to understand like how she became who she is, and maybe we'll find out her real reasoning of why she needs to find the timekeepers. Maybe she's not the person that's the antagonist. Maybe she's the protagonist. Maybe she's really trying to destroy the timekeepers and everything they're about because of she sees it being a whole scam and a whole problem. I don't know. But yes, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You're excited for episode 4? Thumbs up this video if you are. And definitely subscribe if you haven't by now. And thank you for watching Ania Sade Reacts. I'm Ania Sade. Bye.